haven't even started with anybody.
I thought it was late.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start. Technical problems have been resolved. I shall be with you in just less than 10 seconds. Hey, all out there in TV land, should you be there.
We'll save it for the break. Yeah, please. All right.
Well, here we go. Hello again. Peabody here. And the Wayback Machine is wound up and ready to go. That's for those people out there as old as I am. Anyway, if I can have your attention, I want to welcome you to Sacred Grounds, one of the longest running open poetry mic that we know of in the known and unknown universe. Give yourself a round of applause and make them hear it out there. Shall we hear it out there? Thank you. Thank you. Fine poetry, good food and fine poetry since 1972. Give a round of applause for Teddy and Fiona, our hosts back there. If you like yourself, if you like me.
Her mother is sick. Huh? Think of Fiona, her mother is sick.
Oh, and Fiona's mother is ill, so keep that in your heart and mind and soul. Tonight's feature is Mr. Carl Wiener, who can give the King's Way back there. David Erdreich, what do you call it, the keynote. You for this coming present, he will be providing us with the mini feature now. Thanks to Mr. Natural for the streaming. Tonight's theme is gardening, in case you have something appropriate for gardening, within the broadest sense of that term, in case you have that. Light condom is on, the amp is ready to go. I'm just going to introduce a few of the door prizes. Pinwheel Turns a Kiss and In the Image of Sky by Bob Dewhurst. If you know Bob, you know this book, you'll like this book. And if you know Julia Vinograd, you might like Handle with Care. So those are just a couple. There's a poetry magazine here, a natural magazine. If you're interested in signing up for the mailing list that I do, I only send out one, sometimes 2 emails a week, but usually only one. And then other prizes consist of the keynote, the mini feature, and the person who chooses next week's theme. That's an easy one. Also, I'd like to point out that we have an SF Marin food bank. So when you come here, pick a couple of cans or something that's donatable for that. We do that every year. We used to only do it the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, but I got a barrel here this year, so maybe we can put things in and build it up. All right? Is there anything else? Fabulous prizes, tonight's theme, the light condom's on. I'm here, I'm Dan Grady, your host, and we're about ready to start. So, shall we begin, Mr. Erdreich, with your keynote? Give him a round of applause.
I had a senior moment that lasted about 2 minutes. I don't know, 1 week. Forgot that I was the keynote. So I'm just going to wing it with something that was here From Spirit to Matter, Carol Lee Sanchez, Message Bringer Woman. It's new and selected poems, 1969 to 1996. And I haven't read this before, so I'm just going to...
This is one of the
improvised,
by the way. I forgot to mention this. Sorry.
This is called Conversations from the Nightmare. And so this is 8 minutes, right?
It's 5, but go ahead.
5? Well, tell me when I hit 4, and I'll just so I know what. Okay. Thank you. The poster invites me to take a trip to the museum. Native Americans on display. Pueblo, Paiute, Apache, in authentic native costumes. Lecture by museum guide. Those potteries rest in glass cases to haunt museums. They concentrate a formal essence of geometry of understanding from another place. That Navajo rug on the wall, those costumes described to you not as clothing still worn for a particular occasion, but as theatrical accoutrements for these isolated dramas reenacted. They'll sell anything these days, she said. She was right, not intending to be. Reminded by those gaudy signs riding west on Highway 66 when we were young. Next stop, water, cactus candy. See, real Indians make authentic Indian jewelry. Those gaudy signs that still lead to every junk curio store filled with degrading imitations of everything dear and sacred to us. Cardboard tom-toms, felt headbands with chicken feathers for little big chiefs, rubber tomahawks, genuine plastic and tin jewelry, and I shiver looks at the posters we create as another gray line bus pulls away from Taos La Fonda to see the Indians at the Pueblo. They have disappeared me as they have done to all my ancestors before me. Are you watching? When I wear a modified version of the traditional dress of my Pueblo tribe, it is not familiar to those outside the Southwest, but it is real. Look close, I may vanish before your very eyes. It is not a Pocahontas dress. I do not wear feathers or a headband or beaded moccasins because my tribe does not wear those things. Each tribe adapted various forms of European beads and ruffles and braids that became traditional ceremonial dress by the late 1700s, but they are Indian because we wear them, because we put them together in a certain way. Are you watching? I may be disappearing right now. It keeps happening when I remind you who I am. And pretty soon you don't see me anymore because I'm a leftover primitive, and you're supposed to feel sorry for me because I am poor and diseased and ignorant and alcoholic and suicidal. You see how it happens? What goes on in your mind when you see any of us wearing our ceremonial dress? We have not been terminated or exterminated. We are here all around you, but you disappear us every day. Are you watching? Up the downside of anywhere nobody really gives a shit. Oppressive measures of any dosage require large quantities of antidotes, larger than attitude shifts exclusively adjusted to this point or that. Solitary confinement eludes the best of us, but belongs always to the edge of everything. You are not expected to comprehend the trends of any patterns until they are inconclusive statistics, at which point they will be charted, graphed, and affixed to all memory banks immediately. Plundered minds respond to looting with amiable reflex in these times, deciding that all purposeful intent can be set aside during reclamation proceedings. Disguised soothsayers maintain order in spite of all traumatic situations lying scattered about in the streets. Intruders come and go at will, pick up bits of glass, cast the reflections into them at random, then throw them at the local passers-by for future collections. We have mounted the burning ash and counted jawbones in the pits of darkened, dead, and dying all around. Our striped bombs, a bursting comfort and ease, trip through the red, white, and blue of dark and dead and dying all around. Melted leaves will mix with bones. Carrion fish will travel far to cover this dust and ash of dark and dead and dying all around. A concrete high-rise tombstone, Old Glory and Napalm, Phnom Penh, and dark and dead and dying all around. How much time I got left? Okay, I mean, just, okay, I'll read.
I thought you was, that poem could continue, that was the end of that poem.
Yes.
Oh, okay, just do a short one, yeah.
Okay. The last days of the monarchs. 1. The problem is vague. Personify the point of view that exists and doesn't, and extend the perspective of 11th century retablos in a direct line connected with hard/edge, pop/op 2D, and consider that half of 4 is 2. Then the second dimensional flatness is relative, related to everything that doesn't exist. The point of reference dissolves into the problem beside the shadows that disappear. The absence of light precludes the lack of linear direction. Shapes contain volume, cannot be contained inside or outside of any descriptions. Their solidity remains as outlines melted into planar perception. No light to describe the edges. The thick or thin of anything cannot be described to the mind with signs from the hands. 2. To span the archetypes, to warp the muses into mechanics disgorging siren songs of the centuries paraded in cement. Replay tyrants in royal purple with crimson-headed doctrines pasted to their teeth. Fight for your life. It's all you have left to call your own beyond electronic output and memory input. What was implicit then will become explicit when somebody notices the pattern of usual ordinary events.
Thank you. Mr. Wainwright.
Carol E. Sanchez.
No, I'm not. All right, I have to adjust the video and things like that just for a minute here so people can be comfortable with where they are, etc.
While you're doing that, I'm going to, I have Berkeley Broadway Singers, of which I'm a part, are doing our concerts Saturday and Sunday in Berkeley, actually Kensington, El Cerrito, so, and I'm one of them, so if you're interested, and if you're not going to make it, you don't have to take one. So.
All right.
I'm going to take it for posterity.
Don't do that. I thought something was wrong with this.
Well, it was. I didn't do it till after you started fooling around there.
Oh, well, I was wondering what was going on. So anyway, all right, here we go. All right. Stephanie Manning is next. So give her a nice round of applause.
Hi, everybody. I was very upset by what happened in Paris, so this is my poem that helps me more than anything. And it goes like this. Oh, Paris, that which I have dreamed of, city of strife and torment and great beauty of history, city of artists and poets and music. The Parisi were the tribal people wiped out by the Romans before they created the garrison town of Lutetia. And not till the reign of Clovis I in the 3rd century AD did it become Paris. But it was and always will be Paris. City of lovers and of revolution, subject to occupation and liberation. Paris, the city of my dreams, long may you wave, and may the Eiffel Tower once again light the way to higher levels of consciousness. Something called assault. Assault. It can happen suddenly, unexpectedly on a person or on a whole city with weapons and blood, death and destruction. Or it can happen slowly and quietly, a conspiracy of realtors and landlords, devising techniques to double and triple the rent in a rent-controlled city, full of complacent tenants who don't notice they're scheming until they get that letter in the mail, and they are expelled to Nashville or Arkadelphia or some other island in the vast sea of red states to live out their lives not here by the expensive bay, by the gate of gold, under the pricey skies of California, running dry of poets, the new city of wealth and brainless attendance to the glowing screen and alcohol, keeping them distracted so they don't notice the loss of elders, families, impoverished poets, and people of color. So they keep drugging and drinking in the name of capitalism and the status quo, never questioning authority as they board the Google bus to Slytherin, all the while scrambling in the blogosphere to satisfy their desires and paying that rent, paying it. Now addicted to their high level of income and walled off from the world news. But they will prevail while the rest of us sit it out in the boondocks with our political diatribe, trying to maintain voting rights, and losing our labor unions in the name of making stockholders richer. In the Republican mythology that this will create a good number of jobs. They are entitled to believe this as much as tribal people believe they were created out of dirt, and Christians believe Jesus died for our sins, and Muslims discourage a women's right to education. The world spirals off its axis, and maybe the floods are coming, and maybe we will sprout wings and fly up to that mansion in the sky. That's how reliable the rich are at producing jobs. And so I say, give me socialism where we share the wealth, and nobody gets a free ride, and we all work. And the state actually encourages the arts, including poetry, and finds value in these things. And we're no longer fed by the crumbs that fall off the table, as King said. Only then will the bombs stop bursting over beloved cities. Only then will young people stop igniting themselves on behalf of destruction. That is the train I ride on, and I hope to ride it to the end of my days.
All right, let me read the next set of readers so we know who's coming up and in what batting order, as they might say in France or Italy. We have the next head is we have a Sally, then Jimmy, then David, then Owen, then Karen, then Hal. and then Mauricio. So Sally, bring Sally up here with a nice round of applause.
That's a tough act to follow. The full moon, a fire crackling in a fireplace. As the evening goes on, the logs fall. I'm comforted by sitting in front of the fireplace in the sky. Knowing you was a dance in and out of shadows. Sometimes you danced in sunlight, other times you disappeared into darkness. I watched you dance for many years with many different backdrops. Now the curtain is down. Stunned, I sit in the gallery, unable to get up and move away. Knowing you was a dance, in and out of shadows. Sometimes you danced in sunlight, other times you disappeared into darkness. My toenails were done when I first met you. They were painted red to cover the whole nails. Now you've gone and I won't bother to paint them again. Time has passed. The red lines are moving up and get cut off. There are longer white bands, the new parts growing in and not painted. Still it is mostly red on my nails, but the unpolished part is growing and spreading. We're looking at each other through the wrong ends of binoculars, distant and small to each other. I don't feel your skin anymore, just space between us. Should I stop?
No, you got a couple minutes.
Knees, you're a scrapbook of my life. When I fell skating, left knee injured tobogganing. That memory is thumbtacked on the bulletin board of my life. Knees that complain when going up hills and down hills. But dear knees, you still get me around independently without walker, cane of any kind of surgery. I talk to you and thank you. Somehow you hear, absorb, and comply. Is the talking or the stroking? I talk to my knees.
That's a good counseling technique. You're right. That is a good.
Whoopee! I fixed the computer so it would no longer correct my spelling. Feels so good to have the shackle removed, like tossing a waist cincher and bras with bones. I'll spell my way, but if the receiver doesn't like it, too bad. Maybe I'm starting a fashion of individual spelling all right. Maybe I'm a dress designer of words. A washing machine has to stop the spin cycle before soaking can begin. And so I have to stop. Yes, stop before centering and reflecting can begin. Yeah. Next one is long. I better stop because they look.
Give me a nice round, please. Sally Lutz He made practical use of her poetic skills and became a therapist with them. All right. Jimmy, then David, then Owen, Karen, then Hal. Jimmy.
No.
This is your first time here, right?
No, first time here.
First time here, ladies and gentlemen. Give it a treatment.
Yeah, that's right. I have not been coming here for like over 40 years. I've been not coming
Did
here.
you come here before that? Okay, just checking, because you are definitely a first timer.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
All right, so that's the award that you just enjoyed.
Okay.
All right.
So I have my piece. I brought one piece. I call it Happy Holidays.
Yay.
There's no war on Christmas. No. It's more like a jihad. We know it's coming, and we are onto their plans. We know their troops are gathering at the borders of Christmas as we speak with their weapons of mass deception, plotting a Black Friday assault that will last the entire 7 weeks of Christmas Day. People of little faith walk amongst us, actively trying to prevent Christmas from spreading to other parts of the calendar. Atheists disguised as Santa will sit in department stores telling the little kids that they don't deserve the presents as promised in the Bible. Drones cleverly masquerading as toys will rise up and strafe religious institutions everywhere, including malls, street fairs, sports bars, and casinos. Elves will be propagandized and lured into the service of heathen groups that bent on denigrating the teachings of Jesus the carpenter. Coffee cups will appear with drab blue, purple, and yellow colors in clear violation of the scriptures. Wayward parents will encourage their children to write letters to Nancy Pelosi instead of to Santa Claus. We know they're coming, and we know what they're doing. Oh yeah. Sacrilegious, non-believing persons, including pagans, Jews, Islamists, vegetarians, Buddhists, blithely ignore the pious mandates of the season. Nativity scenes will be infiltrated by infidels dressed as Arabs, pretending to herd their asses and sheep while they recruit innocent passers-by into bestiality or even worse, homosexuality. Idolatrous fools will attend seances and yoga classes instead of bowing at the altar of commerce. Needy secularists will celebrate their own birthdays in clear disrespect of Jesus. Some shoppers will say they were not buying as many presents this year. There's a clear slap at Christmas. Ungrateful big box wage slaves will whine to their employers asking for the day off. The goal of preventing devout Americans from exchanging their presents for cash. We can't let them do this, and we won't. Turning both cheeks to the world is not good enough. I say let's beat our plowshares back into swords in the name of the Prince of Peace and repel those who would dare to declare this war on Christmas.
David E. coming back to the
Oh
mic.
no, Mr. Bill!
He was the
Mr. Bill!
he was the keynote. The keynote always comes back for the open mic here. His own material, not just that of some sand flounder.
The purpose of the garden is constant renewal, a repetition that is always the same yet always different, a breathing exchange that is essentially invisible. So there's your garden poem. Bon mots I toss around like daisies. Idiots must think I'm crazy. But daily, if you don't write down, I slapstick you, you stupid clown. On top of that, you're lazy.